My name is Fred Rook. I'm 83 years of age. I've lived in Islington all my life. My parents lived in Islington all their lives, their grandparents and their great-grandparents. When I first got married, we lived on the third floor of a house. We had no bath, no toilet there. If I or my wife or my two daughters wanted to go to the toilet, you had to come down 3 floors, out in the back garden, past the chicken run to an outside toilet. And bathing, we never had a bath, but we used to go down the Callie Road bars once a week on a Saturday normally. Another part of Callie Road bars was next door to it, which was part of the building, was the wash house, where Joan used to get all her dirty washing, put it in a pram, take it down the Callie Road bars. It was washed and pressed and everything.
Well, my name is Hilda Porter, and I live in the main Camden Road. I've lived in the same place for 52 years. I am 96 now. When I was a young girl, we didn't have gas or electric. Everything's been changing all the time.
My name is Dorothy Gamby, and I'm 88 years old. I grew up in a place called Finsbury Park. When I was little, we only had 2 rooms to live in, and my sisters and I used to sleep in one room in a big bed, and Mum and Dad used to sleep in what was called it was kitchen, come bedroom, come everything. I came to this area 40 years ago. There's more different people about now to what there was when I was a little girl. We used to see policemen on the streets, where you don't see them a lot now.
There was a market over there where the clock tower is. That was massive. It was known all over the world as Caledonian Market, and they used to sell everything. I mean, you could get bargains over there, you could get food or pictures or furniture, whatever you wanted you could get. But on the other side of the road was the slaughterhouses, and they used to bring cows and sheep and all that from a place called Maiden Lane, which is just at the top. And if you was walking along the road, you'd probably meet 100 cows coming the opposite way.
And then when that went, they built the flats over there. They called it Market Estate. That's how the Market Estate got their name, because it used to be a cattle market.
This is called the drovers because the men who drove the animals to slaughter, they slept here overnight.
My name is Caroline Benford. I've lived here since I was 2 years old. From the age of 7, I used to be allowed to play out the front of my house until about 9 o'clock at night, and that was late for me. But we were safe, and the parents used to sit out there. We all used to sit out there. They used to have street parties together.
My name is Nina, and I was born in Islington in 1964. The buildings are just used for different things. So, for example, where we used to go Saturday morning cinema, at the ABC, the cinema was on Holloway Road. It's now a pub called the Coronet.
My name's Bernie Delaney, and I've lived in Islington almost 27 years. There's been a lot of redevelopment in the 25 years that I've lived in this area. Flats have been demolished and new houses and flats have been built.
My name's Helena. The building is a change. Like here in the York way, is they do the new one here.
My name is George, and I came to Islington in 1962. Yeah, there's been lots of changes. As a kid, me, my sister and my dad used to go to Chapel Market shopping every Sunday morning, and it's totally different now. The market's the same, but there's a whole new shopping area there now that wasn't there before.
Goodings Road has always been Goodings Road, but it was a cobbled road and there were big houses either side of it. Years ago, people used to own the whole house, Now all houses are put into flats, aren't they? And I know that on the Market estate itself, each corner of the estate there was 4 pubs.
When I was 16, the war broke out and we had to do war work. I went into the civil defence. It was very, very frightening because there was the bombs.
When I was 15 years of age, I joined the fire service and I used to go out in with the fire engines every night.
I was a bus conductor, a London bus conductor, and we went through all the bombing.
I started working when I was about 12, 13, to do paper rounds.
I started working at age 18. My first job was in publishing.
When I finished my university, I started at age 18 as a vet.
I left school at the age of 16 on a Thursday, and I started my job on the Monday as a trainee accountant.
In Caledonian Road we have everything, and I'll never forget there was one shop down there called the Home and Colonial, and when you bought something, you put your money in a container and they had a wire and they pulled the wire and the money went into an office. They took your money, and then sent the receipt back again. And we had places like in Caledonian Road, a cook shop, and you could buy all different kind of cooked meats and pickled onions and all that sort of thing, and everybody used to use it.
Well, when we were very young, it's not like now. We didn't have any takeaways, not many. So occasionally we used to have fish and chips. That was it. And if we weren't out with friends, we'd go to the Wimpy and we'd sit and have Wimpy, where we'd have Knickerbocker Glories and Wimpy burgers, and Coke floats were always our favourite, which was Coca-Cola with ice cream in it.
When I grew up on Holloway Road, on the Lorraine estate, it was Reggie's Fish and Chip Shop, which was right opposite the flats. We used to go there and get 2.5p's worth of chips, and he would throw all the crackling on we wanted.
I had pie and mash at least twice a week. Pie, mash and liquor. Cod balls were my favourite food as a child. They were pieces of cod in batter.
I liked bangers and mash, bangers and sausages.
We used to make believe, make up. We used to use paper to make clothes, and we used to put on stage shows. We had great fun, and skipping. You generally got 2 people to skip, to ride the rope, and somebody would go into the skipping. And we used to sing, "My ball's down the airy, don't forget to give it to Mary" on a Sunday morning. We always sang that while you were skipping. But we always had to be in at a certain time at night. We weren't allowed out late.
I'll never forget, there was a turning that we all used to meet to skate, which was slightly downhill, called Carlsbad Street. And it was a road where you couldn't go now because of the traffic. But, I mean, horse and carts you could just dodge.
And one of my favourite games at Ring Cross was me and my friend George Murphy used to go around all the classrooms with a guitar singing "I want to be a hound, I want to be your teddy bear." And the teachers let us do that as a game rather than do lessons because we were fairly naughty.
Used to go out and play a lot. We used to be out most of the day playing, in the weekends, evenings.
Mostly, I remember playing Kiss Chase. And we used to play a lot of marbles in the old flats that we used to live in. On the drains, we used to play that really a lot. And we used to play a game called Apples, which basically was throwing a ball at each other and trying to hit each other with a ball. That was always great fun.
Tin Can Tommy. I don't know if the children still play that. I liked playing Knockdown Ginger. Used to tie cotton to people's doors, their letterboxes, throw the cotton over the balcony, go and hide underneath and pull it, so when they come out there'd be no one there. They'd shut the door and stand behind it. We'd pull it again and they thought they were clever by standing right behind the door, but as they opened it, there was still no one there.
We had entertainers come round in the street. We used to sit on the curb, and we had, you know, dancers and all that sort of business used to perform in the street. And we used to have a thing come round, a roundabout, pulled by a horse and cart, yeah? And to get on the roundabout, you had to give them a jam jar. And we used to go to all the different dances, St Pancras Town Hall, and the Lyceum, and places like that. And there was all big bands, famous bands. It used to be wonderful. There was so much going on. Every Saturday evening we used to go to a dance down Caledonian Bars. They used to cover it over, dancing over the swimming pool. They used to have boxing. We all used to sit up in the balcony and watch the boxing.
I love dancing, and any opportunity I would go to parties or clubs.
A lot of entertainment was centred around the family. Gatherings with, on a Sunday we used to have meals with each other, and as a teenager we used to go out clubbing.
As a child, my entertainment was playing with my friends and going to drama. And then when I got to a little bit older, I used to go to Camden Palace.
Down Copenhagen Street they had a cinema, yeah? And you used to have to pay 2 pence. It was called Tuppenny Rush, yeah? You used to go in there and they used to mark the seat when you came in, because it was a continuous rolling picture. And when you had seen your share, they used to throw you out.
My favourite music when I was younger, when I was a teenager, it was rock and roll. I used to like Elvis and Gene Vincent and Eddie Cochran.
Glenn Miller.
Ska, blues, and a few pop music. I was not really into pop music much. I liked the Rolling Stones.
Oh yeah, and the Animals.
And the Animals.
I grew up in the 1980s and I really liked new romantic music. I still like it to today.
I personally was a big fan of the Bay City Rollers. So when we used to play at school, you know, the girls would be the fans and the boys would be the Bay City Rollers, and we'd have to stand there and sing to them. B-A-Y, B-A-Y, B-A-Y-C-I-T-Y with an R-O-L-L-E-R-S. Bay City Rollers are the best.
Bell-bottom trousers, high-waisted trousers and platform shoes.
The clothing was horrendous. The dresses were terrible colours and the floral prints on them were awful. When I become about 12 or 13, it was luminous, and it's now back.
Most things that we're wearing now, we wore them in the 60s, like mini skirts, maxi skirts.
We had gramophone thing that's got a needle and the record spins on there, and that's what we used to use.
We had only a radio, the whole family has to listen.
I used to have a little tape recorder.
The traffic has changed. We didn't have traffic lights.
The local main road, Caledonian Road, when I was a child, there was trams running up and down the road, and if you wanted to get on a tram or a bus, it cost you a penny.